Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Ever have one of those moments where things just seem to click? Like a bunch of random, maybe even totally weird events suddenly make a kind of sense.
Yeah, like finding connections you didn't even know were there.
Exactly. Well, today we're diving headfirst into a universe that runs entirely on that idea. We're exploring Douglas Adams's brilliant and frankly baffling novel, Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. Our mission, really, is to dig into this world where everything is connected, even when it looks completely impossible or just plain silly. We want to pull out those surprising nuggets of knowledge that, make you rethink logic, time, reality itself.
And Adams definitely throws us in the deep end, doesn't he? Right from the start. I mean, you've got a fictional college worrying about legal disclaimers for its own non-existence.
Right.
A book mentioning the specific old computers it was typed on,
Yeah.
and then this image of a leaning tower in a muddy valley. Suddenly, this huge burst of light and sound, and the next day, everything's like clearer, warmer, brighter.
Yeah.
A river flows where there was just mud. It feels random, but it's not just Adams being quirky. It's clue number one, basically.
Yeah.
Everything, even the weirdest stuff, is connected. It's all part of this bigger picture.
I love that immediate sense of anything goes, but it all matters. Okay, so let's ground ourselves a bit. Let's meet some of the key players in this quirky world. Get the facts as Adams lays them out. Who do we meet first?
First character up is the electric monk. Now, this is a really Adams-esque creation. It's a robot, basically, designed to believe things for people so they don't have to bother.
Uh-huh, convenient.
Right. And we find it wandering a desert on this perfectly ordinary horse, which, by the way, apparently has opinions about being ridden all day.
Of course it does.
But the monk itself is having a crisis of faith, kind of doubting everything it used to believe. Then suddenly it gets this new overpowering belief that it's going to find a mysterious doorway. And it does. It finds this doorway. And inside, an ancient cave painting. Purple creatures, multiple limbs, hunting. It immediately makes you question, what is belief? Can you just outsource it?
That detail about the horse having opinions, it just perfectly sets the tone, doesn't it? Even the animals have inner lives. Okay, so we have the monk. Who brings us back down to earth, maybe?
That would probably be Susan Way. She's very relatable. We meet her and she's just really annoyed, waiting for a date who's incredibly late.
We've all been there.
Exactly. You feel her frustration. She ends up deciding to go out with this other guy, Michael. And we learn she uses an extra long tape on her answering machine because her brother just talks and talks.
Ah, family.
Right. So she's our link to everyday problems. But even her normal life, her answering machine, it all becomes surprisingly important later. It's a thread.
Okay, interesting. Now let's shift gears to the academic world. St. Seed's College, Cambridge, sounds eccentric.
Oh, absolutely. And central to that is Professor Chronotis. Everyone calls him Reg.
Yeah.
He's the Regis Professor of Chronology, incredibly ancient. And his memory, well, he says it's like a Queen Alexandra birdwing butterfly.
Meaning?
Colorful, but practically extinct. He barely remembers anything. And his job, Professor of Chronology, is a sinecure. Basically, a job with no duties, set up ages ago by King George III. The one who thought a tree was Frederick the Great.
Ah, that King George.
Right. And a little quirk about Reg, he apparently takes the only copies of books on his own reading list out of the library.
Why would he do that?
Well, it's funny, but it also maybe hints at something deeper about his relationship with time, with information. Maybe his forgetfulness isn't just forgetfulness.
Intriguing. And who else is in this academic mix?
Well, we have Richard MacDuff. He used to be Reg's student. Now he works for Gordon Way's tech company.
Gordon Way, Susan's brother.
The very same. And Richard has this immediate, very funny problem. He's got a brand new sofa wedged halfway up the stairs to his flat.
Oh, dear. Been there too, sort of.
But here's the Adams twist. Richard runs this super advanced computer program. He designed it, analyzes spatial problems. And the program says, not only is it impossible to move the sofa up or down, it was actually impossible for it to have ever gotten there in the first place.
What? That's impossible.
Exactly. That's the point. It immediately tells you the basic laws of physics, space, logic. They might be a bit flexible in this story. It sets the stage for bigger mysteries.
Okay, so the players are on the board. The scene is set with impossible sofas. Where do the threads start to weave together? What are some of the weird events that hint at this deeper logic?
Well, let's look at Richard's work, for instance, his software. Before the sofa incident, he developed this program called Anthem. It takes company financial accounts and turns them into music.
Seriously, what does that sound like?
Apparently, British companies sound like the Dead March from Saul. Very somber. Japanese companies, though, are like cheery anthems.
That's brilliant.
And he later takes this further, trying to convert the wing beats of swallows into music. He's exploring this idea that there's music, or at least complex patterns, inherent in everything, in numbers, in nature. Adams is laying groundwork here, connecting data, nature, and music.
Oh, okay, that's fascinating. But then things take a much darker turn, right, with Gordon Way?
They do. Suddenly, shockingly, Gordon Way is dead, shot, found in the boot of his own car.
Ooh.
And what's really unique is we experience his death with him as a ghost. He's confused, trying to touch things, his own body, the steering wheel, but just phasing through.
That must be terrifying.
And what bothers him most, even as a ghost, the expression on his dead body's face. He thinks it looks like asinine stupidity.
Wow, even in death, concerned about appearances.
It's very human, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Adams is also immediately stretching our idea of what being means. Consciousness without a body, still worried about looking dumb.
So Gordon's a ghost, Richard has impossible software and a stuck sofa. Where does Dirk Gently himself fit into all this?
Ah, Dirk.
Yeah.
Or Slad Chirelli, as he was known. He bursts onto the scene as this holistic detective.
Oh.
He absolutely denies having psychic powers, but he totally uses them, or something very much like them. We find out he got kicked out of Cambridge because, under hypnosis, he did some automatic writing that turned out to be the exact word-for-word exam questions for that year.
No way.
Yes. He calls it predicting via quantum mechanics when it comes to lost cats. His agency advertises for missing cats and messy divorces.
So he solves things by seeing the connections others miss? The holistic part?
Precisely. He operates on the fundamental interconnectedness of all things.
Right.
He might deny being psychic, but maybe that's just Adam saying psychic is the wrong word for understanding these deep, hidden lengths.
Okay, that makes sense in this context. Now, back to Cambridge for a moment. Professor Reg and his childish conjuring tricks. Tell me about the salt cellar.
Right, the Coleridge dinner. It's this formal event. They're reading Kubla Khan, and Reg makes the salt cellar vanish from the table.
Okay, a simple magic trick.
That's what Richard assumes.
Yeah.
A bit of sleight of hand. But later, Reg just casually explains what really happened.
Which was?
He says he nipped out for, wait for it, about 3 weeks.
3 weeks. During dinner.
Yep, 3 weeks. To find someone, apparently, to bake the salt cellar into the clay pot it was sitting in. That he came back, bumped into himself briefly to make it look seamless, and returned to the dinner just as the salt cellar disappeared.
That's insane. For a salt cellar trick, what does that even mean?
It's Adam showing us time isn't a straight line for Reg. Cause and effect are bendy. It took 3 weeks of effort, outside of normal time, to create that tiny moment of magic.
Yeah.
It reinforces that idea, immense complexity hiding behind apparent simplicity or absurdity.
And this connects to the other Cambridge oddballs, too.
Absolutely. You've got Professor Colley, the archaeology guy, who basically just sees it as playing in the dirt, like when he was a kid.
Right.
Then there's Watkin, the classics professor. He genuinely thinks Greek fairy timetables are the greatest work of creative imagination this century.
Oh, okay.
And don't forget the random guy with the really long bony nose who's just tapping his fingers obsessively in a pattern all night.
All these little details.
They all add up. They're not just jokes. They build this picture of a world operating on a different kind of logic. A holistic logic, maybe, where fairy timetables and finger taps could be important clues.
The pattern really is emerging piece by piece. Okay, let's bring Michael back in. Susan's date, the one who runs the magazine Fathom, which he lost to Gordon Way. He's in bad place, right?
Yeah, Michael Weeks is at a real low point. Depressed, vulnerable after losing his magazine. And he starts having these disturbing dreams.
About
Mud, he says, and slimy things with legs. It's vague but unsettling. And Adams suggests that this state, this real vulnerability, actually makes him receptive, open to things he wouldn't normally notice.
Open in what way?
Well, it's almost like his depression lowers his psychic defenses, if you like. And it makes him connect deeply with something he reads.
Which is Richard's article, the one about music and fractal landscapes.
Exactly that one. It's pivotal. Remember how Richard was turning company accounts and wing beats into music?
Yeah.
The article talks about how complex natural things, plant growth, mountains eroding, can come from simple mathematical rules. And it says music, the most abstract art, is how humans understand these deep natural patterns. The idea of music inherent in nature.
Okay.
This idea hits Michael hard. It resonates like a half-remembered song. It sort of primes him, emotionally and intellectually, for what happens next.
And what happens next is pretty major, even for this book.
It is, because Adams takes a sharp turn here. Michael gets possessed.
Possessed. By who or what?
By an alien ghost.
An alien ghost, right, of
Yeah.
course. And the slimy things with legs?
That was the alien's perspective
Oh.
on humans.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. This ghost has a truly tragic story. It's been wandering Earth, disembodied for billions of years.
Billions.
Billions. It was the sole survivor of an alien ship that crashed on Earth 4 billion years ago, when Earth was basically a dead rock. They were refugees from a violent homeworld, Salak, looking for a new planet.
And the crash.
The alien ghost caused it, accidentally. Trying to repair the ship, set off a massive explosion, killed everyone else. Its existence now is just fragile wave patterns, irregular peaks and troughs. It's this ancient cosmic grief, wanting desperately to undo its mistake.
An alien ghost billions of years old caused the explosion that created life on Earth. Potentially. Is that where this is going?
Well, Adams doesn't explicitly state it created life, but the explosion did happen on primordial Earth. The ghost's primary goal, though, is just to go back and stop the explosion from happening at all.
And how can a ghost, even an alien one, undo something from 4 billion years ago?
Well, that requires a very special tool. And it turns out one of our Cambridge academics has it.
Let me guess. Professor Red.
You got it. Remember his abacus? The one he fiddles with?
Yeah.
It's not just an abacus, it's an incredibly powerful time machine.
A time machine? Of course it is. Built into an abacus.
Seems so. Reg explains it can control huge computational resources, even itself. And he talks about paradoxes, like what happens if you change the past. He says paradoxes are just scar tissue. The universe kind of heals around them.
Like his example of saving the coelacanth so we couldn't save the dodo.
Exactly. You try to fix one thing in time, something else shifts. It's complex, unpredictable. Cause and effect get messy when you meddle with time. The universe adapts, but maybe not how you expect.
So the alien ghost inside Michael finds out about Reg's abacus, the time machine.
And sees its chance. Its only chance after billions of years to go back and prevent the catastrophe.
And Richard and Dirk figured this out.
They piece it together, yes. Following Michael, realizing something is deeply wrong, they end up heading straight for Reg's rooms at St. Seed's. Right as Michael is about to use the abacus, it all comes together there.
The big confrontation. What happens?
It's pretty dramatic. Michael, driven by the alien, manages to use the abacus. He travels back in time to the alien ship right before the explosion.
Does Richard go too?
He experiences it, yes. And what he experiences on that ship is incredible. He hears, Adams calls it, the music of life itself.
The music inherent in nature,
Yeah.
like his article.
Exactly. It's described as this profound, beautiful sound embodying the complex flow of numbers behind all natural things. It's the ultimate validation of everything Richard was working toward with his software, the sound of the universe's patterns.
Wow. So the alien succeeds, it prevents the explosion.
The implication is yes, it alters the past. Because when Richard returns to his own time, things are different.
How so? He's back, confused.
Totally bewildered. The time machine, the abacus, is now inert. Dead as a dodo, as Adams puts it. Poetic, given Reg's earlier comment.
And the police. They suspected Richard of Gordon's murder, right?
They did, but now they clear him. Why? Because Gordon Way's final rambling answering machine message, the one Susan had the long tape for, gets discovered. Along with phone records, it proves Richard couldn't have done it. The timeline seems to have subtly rearranged itself to exonerate him.
The universe healing around the paradox.
Seems like it. But the most profound change is within Richard himself.
What happens?
He finds some sheet music by Bach, and he looks at it and thinks, I have never, ever seen any of this before.
It's Bach. He must have seen Bach before.
In our timeline, yes. But in this new timeline, the one created after the alien change, the past 4 billion years ago, Bach seems to have composed music based on the kind of natural, mathematical patterns Richard thought he was discovering.
So Richard didn't invent it in this timeline. Bach did.
That's the implication. The alien's change rippled through history, subtly altering who discovered what, who was inspired by what. Even tiny details change. Remember the impossible sofa?
Yeah, stuck on the stairs.
In the new timeline, it gets delivered successfully? No problem. The universe just tidied it up.
That is mind-bending. So a single change billions of years ago rewrites Bach and fixes a sofa delivery.
That's the holistic detective agency way.
Yeah.
Interconnectedness on a cosmic scale.
Which means Dirk Gently, he was right all along, his whole philosophy.
Absolutely vindicated. All his seemingly random actions, bothering Richard about the sofa, insisting everything was connected. It turns out he was plugged into this deeper reality. He saw, or maybe just sensed, how the college dinner, the sofa, the ghosts, the software, the monk. How it all fit together into this one vast, incredibly improbable pattern.
So the humor, the absurdity, it's not just for laughs.
Not just for laughs. Adams uses it to stretch our idea of logic, to suggest reality is way more fluid, more connected than we usually think. The impossible things, like the sofa, aren't necessarily errors in the universe. There may be just parts of a puzzle we haven't seen the whole picture of yet. Dirk's genius is seeing more of that picture than anyone else.
Okay, wow. That's a lot to take in. So wrapping this up, what's the takeaway for us listening to this?
Well, this whole deep dive really makes you think, doesn't it? If Adams's chaotic world hides this incredible, complex order underneath, maybe ours does too.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about those weird coincidences in your own life, right? The things that seem impossible or just totally random.
Exactly. Could they be clues? Hints of a deeper connection, a more holistic truth we just haven't pieced together yet? Maybe those impossible moments are where the real story is.
So perhaps the world isn't quite as random as it feels sometimes. Maybe, like the electric monk, sometimes you have to choose what to believe, even if it seems unlikely. Or maybe, like Dirk, you just need to step back and try to see the whole interconnected picture.
The ultimate insight might be that the universe isn't just stranger than we imagine, like the old saying goes. Maybe it's stranger than we can imagine. And those coincidences, they might just be invitations to look deeper.
A fantastic thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Dirk Gently's wonderfully weird world. We hope you feel a bit more informed, maybe a little more baffled in the best way possible, and definitely more curious about the strange connections weaving through your own universe.